Hey guys, Rose here, and I wanted to talk about tarot journals. So, tarot journals, when you guys are starting your tarot journey and you are learning the deck, um, I think it's very important to start a tarot journal. It helped me when I was learning the cards, and I really feel like it would be just a helpful aid, a tool to use to build your knowledge of the cards. And it's a good way to start memorizing the meanings and kind of jotting down your own personal ideas of what the cards mean to you. So I just wanted to show you guys two examples of my tarot journals. So the first one is this is the tarot journal that I kept when I first started my journey with the tarot. um, to make a long story short, I had originally the Universal Rider-Waite deck, and then I ended up buying the original Rider-Waite deck. And I had the Universal Rider-Waite, and I didn't know what to do with it. I just didn't like the artwork too much. I wasn't as attracted to the colors on that deck as I was to the original Rider-Waite. So when I purchased the original Rider-Waite, I knew that was the deck I wanted to work with. And instead of letting the Universal Rider-Waite go to waste, I decided to use that in my tarot journal. So I had always had this moleskin journal. It's the typical moleskin journal that you can find at Barnes and Noble. And this guy was completely empty for quite a few years. I didn't know what to do with him. And then finally it dawned on me, why don't I use him for my journal? So I ended up cutting off the edges of all of the Universal Rider-Waite, and then I glued each one to each page of my journal. So to show you from the beginning, as you can see here, I cut off the edges, and it was sloppy. I mean, I didn't really care. I figured it was going to go like a scrapbook anyway in my journal. So I cut the edges off, and then I glued, the Fool card on one page. The next page I did the Magician, and so I did it in order of all of the majors on every page, all the way until I got to the minors. Then I started each of the minors. So we start with the Ace of Pentacles. And I did it in the form of like the order that the elements go, that I always thought of it as earth, air, fire, water. So I started with earth, pentacles. And then I went into air, which is the swords. And then I went into fire, which is the wands. And then I ended up with the cups. And then I believe I saved all of the quartz for last. So after I did all of the minors from numbers ace through 10, the 10 of cups was the last one, then I started on the page of pentacles, and then I did the knight of pentacles. So I kept the quartz all together because I know when I finally go in to fill in about the quartz, I wanted all of them to be together. The court cards are probably the most difficult cards to learn in the tarot. So as you guys can see, I did not get all the way done with my journal. I mean, I have bits and pieces every here and there, but I do not have everything filled out the way I would like to, and it's a work in progress. So what I did was, for each of the cards, I'll show you an example. We'll just go back to the Fool. The Fool, I put, virgin, pure, like so you guys can see my writing. I put virgin, pure, young, youthful. I just wrote down words that the Fool card meant to me, keywords. And then, that's what I did for the next card. So for the Magician, I wrote down, actually the Magician I didn't fill out. But the High Priestess, she has some, I wrote a little bit here and there. I wrote a little bit about the elements on this page. It's just like a journal that I kept. And basically, that's just basically what I did. So this is my tarot journal that I started working with. Now, as you can tell, a good portion of it, you know, I have every so often I have some done. I have some that I didn't do, that I didn't touch up on. So it's like every few cards I have written out, and then there's some cards I have not yet filled out. Um, that is a work in progress. Now, when you guys are learning the tarot and you're starting your journal, you do not have to feel like you have to write about every card as soon as you start, and then you're not allowed to read for anybody until you finish your journal. No, that's not what I did. I literally felt comfortable. There's certain cards that I didn't write about that I did feel really comfortable with. I did focus a lot on the majors. So the majors, most of them have you know, little pieces that I wrote about. But everything else, there's a lot of the minors that I just didn't feel the need to write about. And you know, even today, I can go back and fill this stuff in, and you know, my thoughts on the cards. And I do that every once in a while. I will pull my journal out, and I will write little things in there. But it's not a necessary thing for me. Tarot it's a never-ending journey, but writing it down in a journal is one way to learn. My other way that I learned was giving free readings. So I would offer free readings to people on my journal, on my blogs, and that was another way that I would learn the cards. So it's just whatever works for you. But I just wanted to show you guys that's my tarot journal. So the way that I recycled the cards that I knew I wasn't going to be working with, which is the Universal Rider-Waite, the way for me to recycle those cards was by gluing them into a journal that I can have actual references to look at, so pictures of the cards, and to learn that way, because the Rider-Waite was the deck that I chose to work with when I first started my journey. So it's always been the #1 deck for me. But I just wanted to show you guys that I do have a tarot journal. It's not all filled out. It's definitely not. But it is there for me to go back to if I do feel the need to write about the cards. So that's one journal. The other one I want to show you guys is the one I've been recently working on, because as you guys know, I recently this weekend purchased the Witches Tarot. So I love these cards, and I have such a strong connection with these cards. It feels like the same connection that I had when I opened up the original Rider-Waite. So when that connection happened, I realized I need to study these cards. These are definitely cards that I feel I will be working with a lot with client readings, and so to take them seriously, I did, you know, dive into studying. So that's what I did. So I have the this is the companion book for the Witches Tarot. So I have the companion book, and as you can see, like I've already started reading. I have it I have it marked off where I stopped. But I've been reading about each of the cards, and I started another journal. So this is another journal that I bought this one also at Barnes & Noble. And I started keeping a journal about the Witches Tarot. So I started this one, I just write down the name of the card at the top, and then I write words, keywords, the symbols, mainly the symbols of each of the images, because they are a little bit different from the Rider-Waite. So I wrote down, you know, straight from the companion book, I write it down. So I'm not one of those people where I could read something and remember. I have to write it down. I take a lot of notes. Note taking for me helps me to memorize. So that's what I've been doing. So each page has the majors, and I've just been working on that. I've only gotten up to the Strength card. So that's where I've left off. But my goal is to finish the majors, and then, you know, eventually I'm going to start on the minors. But this has definitely helped me become a lot more comfortable with the Witches Tarot deck. And because I do have that intense connection with the cards, I feel it's important to study them even more. I do have decks of cards that I do feel connected with, but I didn't feel the need to study them so much, and I still work with them just fine. So it's just preference, but for me personally, because I felt such a strong connection with the cards, And it is another tarot deck that I will be working with a lot. Aside from the original Rider-Waite deck, I do feel the need to study the cards. So that's what I'm doing. And because it comes with the compendium, well, I always say compendium, the companion book, I figured why not study the companion book and become more familiar with the cards. If anybody's been curious about the Witch's Tarot, you guys, I mean, I'm telling you, I love them. So this is the backs of the cards. They're really pretty. And then the cards themselves are just, they follow the typical Rider-Waite themes. So a lot of the images you'll notice they're very, very, very similar. But there's symbolisms in the cards that are a little bit different from what the Rider-Waite decks have. But for the most part, you know, they're fairly they're the same. But I love these cards, you guys. I'm so happy and I'm so glad that I purchased them. I've been wanting them for a while. So when I finally got them, and then like to have the connection with the cards like I did, it was like, yes, it was meant to be. Like I'm supposed to have this deck. So I'm really excited to be studying it. Like I said, I haven't studied a deck like this since the Rider-Waite, when I first started to learn how to read the cards. So this is just, it's kind of like going back to the beginning, like when I first started. It brings back those memories, so it's kind of nice. But I just wanted to share that with you guys. Some people were curious about my tarot journals and how to start a tarot journal. So basically, all you need to do is get yourself a journal. You can find some for really cheap at Barnes & Noble. I think this one cost me $6. And just start writing. You don't have to be fancy like with this one. It's just I wrote down the name of the card and then, you know, my information. You don't have to get super fancy with it. You can just, you know, do it that way. Or if you are more of an artsy type, then you can go the way I did with my original tarot journal. And if you have like a separate deck that you can, you know, you don't really use and you can glue in the pages and you don't mind, you can do it this way, you know, having an image and then writing about it on the same page. So it's preference. There's no right or wrong way. But I wanted to share my journals with you guys because I know you guys were curious. So I hope that this helped you. If you guys have any questions, please, please, please reach out. Give me a comment, and I will, you know, answer to the best of my abilities. But until then, I'll see you guys later. Bye.